Hi.
I have a goulash sangha for you.
Oh, great. Thanks.
It's interesting that when you look at the sort of the big picture in terms of what's going on in terms of growth, I mean, China's used up just in the last year about 7% of their reserves, FX reserves.
Do you think they can keep doing that, the Chinese? I mean, I feel like a lot of people are asking that question. We'll probably get that question a fair amount.
Well, from the you look through history, countries. China is in a spot similar to where Japan was, many years ago. In 1998 we had the Russia, debt situation.
Yeah.
Now we've got the Greece debt situation with respect to the EU. We've got, China is showing increasing weakness on a number of metrics, which, given it's, the second largest economy in the world, it'll have a debt deflation dynamic associated with that weakness, which is what Japan was essentially doing with the yen back in '98.
Right.
They were exporting deflation by having a weak currency.
Right. No, this pattern is. I mean, this is pretty neat, and I mean, if that high holds, I mean, that's kind of a remarkable overlay from that period of time. Obviously, looking at our price models, I mean, we don't have any confirmation of this yet from that perspective.
That's right.
I guess all these things that are going on could form, materialize it somewhere else. But I mean, certainly think that there's something here. I mean, thinking back to that '98 period, and with that drop, some of the other metrics that I look at with regard to kind of underlying value and all that in the marketplace, they were hitting levels that they're at now, like investor allocation equities and things like that. But even after that drop, there was that one more big move up into 2000, right? And before it really, it really
Exactly.
fell apart. So I think we're seeing all these sort of flashing lights, and I guess I feel better knowing that we wouldn't jump on it until we get some price confirmation. I'm going to look at this stuff a little more, and then let's touch base a little later on in the day.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
All right, too.
If you noticed that Apple quite recently was $132, $133,
Yeah.
and really in the last several days has sold off quite materially. It's trading around 114 this morning, and
A bear market in Apple.
people were wondering that why is it that this particular stock has sold off so aggressively, really in the absence of any major news. This particular stock is a good example of combining fundamental information with complexity theory and looking at complex dynamical systems. I looked at NASDAQ, going back several decades, and there's one particular structure which seems to be a good match, not a perfect match, but when we place it in context, it'll start to make sense. 1998, NASDAQ had a sell-off into the fall of 1997, a rally, consolidation rally, a long consolidation in the spring through the summer of '98, followed by a rally to a peak on July 21st. Fast forward to 2015, we've had a similar structure. We had a sell-off into the fall of last year, a rally, consolidation rally, then a long consolidation into the summer, followed by in NASDAQ, we've had a recent thrust into another peak, which coincidentally occurred on July 20th, almost the exact same day 17 years ago. So all those factors are telegraphing that there's a deflation dynamic at play.
Yeah.
When you look just at equities, you're seeing the impact of enormous liquidity introduced by central banks over the past several years. It hasn't showed up in traditional inflation metrics, but that liquidity has flowed into equities, which is why people were looking for inflation in traditional metrics, didn't see it because it was in the equity market. Yeah. This is what's called the logistic map. It's a very simple way of showing chaotic behavior from one equation which appears to be very simple. And the logistic equation, which you're basically mapping, is population. And the idea is that population grows at a certain rate, but you have in any measure of population, some fall off in the growth rate, not in the growth rate, the number of entities involved, and then it continues to grow. So the logistic equation is essentially the population at period n plus 1 is R, which is the growth ratio, times the population at period n, times 1 minus the population at period n. This is why it's interesting. It seems like a simple equation. When you map it out, what happens is that you find that the population converges to certain numbers after a
Right.
certain number of iterations.
Right.
Okay, that in itself is not that interesting. However, as you change the growth rate, what you find is the values at which the population converges start becoming very chaotic.
Yeah.
Initially, the population in this graph we're looking at, converges to a single point. And that single point, as the growth rate changes to around 3, is a single point of traffic.
Yep.
But as you increase the growth rate, the point at which population converges oscillates between two values. As you continue to increase the growth rate, the point at which population converges increases to 4, and then to 8,
Yep, sure.
32, 16, 32, 64, 120 different values. And there are points at which the growth rate is at a level at which the population oscillates between hundreds and thousands upon thousands of values.
Yeah.
And it seems chaotic behavior. Why is that relevant? Because in the financial markets, even in the chart we were looking at with respect to Apple, there are particular points here, where there's an inflection, a transition, a change in behavior from trending behavior to complex chaotic behavior, trending behavior to complex chaotic behavior. Those are similar to the points in the logistic map. In
Yeah.
the logistic map, we call them bifurcation points.
Yep.
Looking at assets, at prices, at time series, through complexity science, combined with fundamental stuff, helps us enormously engaging the timing and staying on the right side of the market.
Yeah.
And that helps us protect investors' capital, which is what we want to do.